What's going on, everybody? Justin Thomas here from TopShelf Fandom. If you've not subscribed, make sure to do so now. Hit that like button. We're going to jump right into this one. Vikings Season 6, essentially episodes 4 through 5. We're going to be talking about Olaf, the Philosopher Kingmaker. Okay, so today we're going to talk about the Olaf story thread. Essentially, Olaf, Bjorn, and Harold's story thread. We'll dive into how this fits into the story overall, how I feel about it, and so forth, but a little bit more than just did I like it or did I not. The reason I make videos isn't to just say it's good or it's bad or it gets whatever, it's a top shelf video hit or it's a 4 out of 5 Justin stars. I mean, what does that even mean? I really enjoy content creation because of the way these series work as a launching pad for me to learn about other things, the humanities, philosophy, theology, rhetoric, the art of bullshit, and history. In this series, Vikings is a perfect example. You have a series in which it makes me go and look into not only the historical accounts and then learn about Norse mythology with the sagas, but also a little bit about philosophy, theology, and the way in which these characters are being depicted, what really happened, the source accounts, and so forth. So I find this to be very fascinating because this is a classic philosophical, theological like throwdown for sure. That Olaf is having, and he's having this within himself as well. What is his main argument, or what is he looking to argue with Harold? Because it's important to take note that when he has Harold, and Harold does not give him a response that is not contrarian, that is not a adding to the discourse. He says, "You're my prisoner. You need to have an argument with me, not you're my prisoner, don't argue with me." It's the opposite. It's the complete opposite. It's, hey, I caught you, so you need to have this fucking debate with me right now. And what he's essentially asking is, does Harold believe that he belongs where he's at? Meaning, does he think that he's earned being a captive? And what does this mean if everything's fated for his actual worth? Does Olaf get any credit for what he's doing? Is he not a great man for capturing Harold? He is essentially really trying to reckon the idea of free will versus determinism. Meaning, if you don't have agency over your actions, how can you take credit for any of them? How are you great if everything is fated and everybody is fated either to be great or not great? He's having, at least to some extent, a little bit of an existential crisis here. He definitely still believes in the Norse gods. He is pagan in the sense that the Norse and Scandinavian people were pagan. He is definitely believing that the Christian religion is going to win the hearts and minds of people, but he doesn't believe that it is the true religion. And I can back this up, I feel, with a argument that has merit, because you can't say that you think that heaven and hell exist in the Christian sense as well as say, but I need to get to Valhalla, because that's what he's looking to do. So we need to look at what you have to do to get to Valhalla, because that's what he states. He states his motivations. He states what his goals are. He is putting it all out there. He's wondering. He's having this internal conflict. Of course, we all kind of like fashion our spiritual beliefs to, fit our own lives, subconsciously or consciously. But Valhalla requires you to take certain actions. Those actions are in complete conflict with the actions that require you to not only get into a Christian heaven, but would actually land you by default into a Christian hell. So that's what I mean by you can't really say, okay, well, Christianity is, something that I believe exists in the sense of I believe every word of that doctrine, and I, according to the Gospels, I believe that Jesus Christ is the Savior, and I have to accept Him. Else I'm going to go to hell, and I have to, abide by the rules of, Christianity, abide by the rules of this doctrine. And then say, but I'm going to go to Valhalla, because you're saying that if you don't do one thing, then you're going to go to this hell. And then the things that you're doing to get into Valhalla, which is be a warrior, which is die in battle, which is kill, it lands you in hell. So what's interesting is he says that he needs to get to Valhalla, right? And the actions to get to Valhalla are, again, in battle, through being a warrior, and he's taken this Machiavellian, like Kingsmoot-esque way. It's very interesting because you don't politic your way to Valhalla. And also, we also see King Harold taking on some of Bjorn's duties, meaning he's going to go speak with some of the other jarls and some of the other chieftains, whatever, that are coming. We all kind of figure that he's backdoor politicking here. So also, he's going to gain power in not a conventional Norse pagan way, according to the pagan religion in his way of life. That's not the way to live either. You don't politic your way into Valhalla, and you definitely don't like hold the first democratic election and get yourself into Valhalla through there. So it's very interesting that he has set himself up on this course, and it's clearly paved out that this is what he believes he has to do. And then what he is carrying out does not really jive with the Norse pagan way. So I'm very interested to see his explanation for this. But this is a very interesting concept, and it's a very intriguing scenario because we not only see Olaf going down this politicking and democratic road, but we see Harold also seemingly politicking his way through the ranks as well, which again, is not the warrior culture. It's not let's get the most electoral votes. It's let's smash some skulls and eat some mushrooms and be a berserker. So what better way to test the gods abilities and power and determinism versus free will and fate put to the test than having a democratic election to give agency to all these fated men with conflicting fates. And I think it's fascinating. It touches on one of the better things Vikings does, one of the best things actually, of the conflict between these spiritual beliefs, these religions that just clash, these ideologies, the way of life, the very way in which these people perceived the way in which they lived their lives and the way in which they were going to hypothetically live their afterlives, and this clash of culture. And it's was done really good with Ragnar and Athelstan, and Egbert and Ragnar. And at the end, I think it's really an atheist vibe, especially for Travis Fimmel, and at least in the way in which he spoke about his character and the way in which he channeled his character. Is definitely an atheist Ragnar. He put on a show at the very end, and similar with Egbert, they kind of have that great conversation that only kings can have. Only a king understands another king, where they speak about how silly Valhalla is and how silly heaven is and all this. The very thing that they're essentially at surface level fighting over. So I think it's really done well. And we'll get into this with especially the Kattegat episode next, and Lagertha episode, how we've had a lull in the action. And Vikings, you'll notice that this is very odd for Vikings. Vikings is a show that does suffer when it does not have action set pieces, meaning a good shield wall bash here and there. And this is 5 straight episodes, guys. We're 6A is halfway done, and we've had under 10 minutes of significant action, of like a set piece that was really even a full-on battle, in my opinion. We've had 3-4 at tops encounters, skirmishes, and I have not felt like they've dragged as much as I probably usually would if even previous, arguably better seasons would have, if they would have taken out those set pieces in those first episodes. Literally go back and rewatch the series, and there's almost no episodes in the first 4 seasons that don't have like a pretty significant action set piece. So whether it was in England or Norway. So just keep that in mind. I think this is very ambitious, and I think it's an impressive feat to be able to accomplish having these episodes about, do fairly well amongst the critics and amongst the fan base, in my opinion, for essentially having little to no action, to just be dealing with the, the philosophical and the politicking. So, I mean, it's a credit to Hearst so far. I think that, he definitely needs to pick it up. It definitely needs to pick up. And if you didn't need 10 episodes for 6A, then you should have took 8. I will say that. But yeah, I'm liking it. I'm liking it so far, guys. I'm loving it so far. And, it's got its ups, it's got its downs. We'll get to that with Lagertha's and Kattegat's storyline in the next video, and then we'll do Ivar's. Like I said, make sure to subscribe, and leave your comments below. What do you think that Olaf's getting at here? What do you think that his main goal is? So you think this is going to come to fruition, and we're going to have a set king of Norway, and then we will possibly have Bjorn go and be king of Sweden? Great content creator Kerri McKay has really done a great job in his last video breaking down all of the subtle body language and movements and like the politicking that's been happening. I think it's spot on. I think his take on what's happening politically really makes a lot of sense, and always recommend his work, obviously. But yeah, I think that this really does a great job because it touches on like the philosophy that the show has always dealt with, and all the spiritual side of it, you know, the theological, the philosophical, like I said before, as well as it puts us where we need to go to in the end, meaning like where these characters need to end up. Beinhair needs to end up on the throne in Norway, in my opinion, and Bjorn either needs to embrace the Wanderlust, or if he does have a crown, it should be a Swedish crown. I think you should kind of bookend it where history actually says it ended. So, you know, we'll see how it plays out. But I think so far it's a good job on this part. This is my favorite story thread by far. Lagatha was in the lead until this last episode, so we'll talk about that next. So as always, everybody, thank you so much, and leave comments below. Let me know what you guys are thinking, if you guys are hating it, if you're loving it. Also, I have a friend, Nicole. It's her birthday. In lieu of her birthday, she put out a fundraiser actually for the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline, and it's, you know, if you can donate, it's obviously a great cause, and I think that's great that she's doing it, so I'm going to support it. It's in the information below. Also, if you want Vikings videos, you know, for every episode, I'm not a full-time content creator. If you'd like to donate to my Patreon, check out the link below. Support creativity. Anything helps. So thank you guys so much. We will see you soon. Man, what does this mean if I just am fated to do everything? And how are you supposed to be this great man? And then let's say Bjorn be this great man, and then let's get some other jarls and some other kings of Scandinavia over here